In this example, we're going to work on removing the leading numbers in front of names, and then taking those names, splitting them into first and last, and then appending them to an email address, first.last name, first initial.last name. So let's get started here. Sometimes you will be given a list of names, maybe it's from your HR, or maybe it's from a set of new hires, and they say, hey, we need you to create some email addresses from this. Well, if you notice, there's hundreds here, and nobody wants to go through those one at a time. So Excel has several features built in to do this. We're going to do one of the easier ones. So what I want you to do is click on the first name, Control-Shift down. We're going to do there's 100. The reason why I do that is otherwise you're going to have the column name, and we don't want to mess with that right now. You can, it'll just replace these. So go to Data. We're going to go to the text to columns, and it's going to say, do you want delimited or fixed width? We're going to choose delimited. Fixed width would be ideal if all the numbers were the exact same. They're not. Some are single digits, some are 2 digits. It would mess it up. So we're going to use delimited. Going to go next. Now it's asking us, where do you want to break the line up? Well, we notice there's a number, a period, and a space. We want it to be after the space. Now, there are 2 spaces here, so it's going to break it up right before Linda and right before Owens. So we're going to hit space. Here's a preview of what it's going to look like. You can change this around to see exactly what it would look like. If you wanted to break it after the period, it would do it, but you would notice there would be leading spaces. I will show you how to get rid of that in a different video. But for right now, we're going to go using the space. I'm going to hit next. Here's where you can change the column type. We're going to click on this column. We're going to make it text. Click on this column, make it text. In this example, that's not as imperative as it would be if these were date fields. In that situation, you would definitely want to make sure you go in there. Otherwise, it's going to treat it like it's text or maybe a number. We're going to hit finish. Hit OK if it says, there's data already there. Now, if you notice, it's moved the first name here, the last name here. And at this point, we don't really need this column, so we're just going to kind of minimize it down. Now we want to make it into an email address. So we're going to use the concatenation formula to do that. So we're going to hit equals. You can start typing concatenate. We're going to take concatenate here, and it's going to say, what is the first text you want? First one would be the first name, comma. Now it's saying, what is the second text? It's not the name unless you want it to be all one word. Typically, you want a first name, period, second name. So we have to tell it we want a period there. So hit quote, period, end quote, comma. This is telling it to insert a period in between the first and last name. Now we're good to hit the last name. And then we hit comma again, because now we want it to be the email address. I have @yourcompany.com up here, so we're going to go ahead and click on that, close the bracket, and hit enter. Now, normally, you would come over here, see the little square down here, click on that, get the black cross, drag it down, and it would copy all of the formulas down. In this situation, you notice it did not copy it for the rest of them. And the reason being is, if you notice, we have B2, C2, F1, but when we go to the next one, we have B3, which is correct. We have C3, which is correct, but we have F2, which is a blank spot. So it's also going down here, and there's no data. So in order to fix that, you find the source of your data, which is F1, click on it in your formula, hit F4 to lock it in place. And then I usually click out of it. If F4 doesn't work for you, I've seen some keyboards where it doesn't, just make sure you put a $ before the F and before the 1. That locks your formula on that cell, and hit enter. Now, if you come back over to the square, get the black cross and double click, it'll bring it all down. Now let's try the same thing here, but with just the first initial. So we're going to do the same thing, starting off with concatenate. And it says text. What is the first text we want? Well, we don't actually want Linda, we just want L. So we're going to use the left function. So we hit left, tab, and it'll say the text, we want Linda. Number of characters, we just want 1. Now, if you wanted LI, it would be 2. LIN would be 3. You get the idea. close, comma. Now we need the second text, which is her last name. But if you recall from the last one, we want a period in there. So you hit quote, period, end quote, to make sure that we get that period there, comma. Now we can click on her name, comma, and then we need at your company, and we in bracket. And if you recall from the last one, we put the F4 to lock that. Close that out. Now we have first initial dot last name at your company. Click back on it, go to the green square, hit the black cross, and there you go. You should have everybody's first name dot last name, first initial dot last name at your company. That's all for today.